In the 2000 session of the legislature repealed the earlier law and adopted a new voluntary remediation law. That gave us the tools we thought we needed to consider a wider range of cleanup objectives. The site has to be cleaner if you want to put a daycare center on it than it would need to be if you wanted to put an iron smelter on the site.
By being able to look at what the reasonable future use would be, we were able to look at cleanup levels that were consistent with BP's business goals and objectives. The primary business goal and objective there being, let's get this property back into reuse.
Part of the remedy involved the installation of a barrier wall designed to prevent contamination from reaching the river. Running for more than a mile between the site and the river, the wall, along with a series of monitoring stations, helps ensure the continued water quality of the North Platte River for users in Casper and all the communities downstream. All sides had seen their concerns addressed, and a stable, long-term remedy was now in place. One of the contentious issues faced by the committee was the disposition of the contaminated soil. EPA guidance suggests placing contaminated waste in locations where there has been waste in the past. To BP and the Wyoming regulators, it made sense to build a permanent storage area called a Corrective Action Management Unit, commonly referred to as a CAMU, on the hill above the main site where the refinery's tank farm had stood.
It made a lot of sense that since we had a land treatment unit already on the North Tank Farm, that we would take and place our CAMU adjacent to that, possibly use the land treatment unit as part of our CAMU, and then ultimately have that closed as part of our CAMU.
There's people that live in a quarter of a mile of there. They can't put that there. And I guess I stood up and said, if you're going to issue a permit, you get in for a fight, because it's not going up there. You got plenty of land out at Soda Lake, put it out there.
It became very clear that the residents in that area and people in the community in general didn't like that site. It looked like it would be foolhardy for us to even attempt to try to do that. We made a conscious decision to go out and look at other sites. I remember calling Carol and Sharon and saying, let's go for a ride and see where we can find to go. We have to go somewhere with this waste. We're not going to haul it out of state. Help us find a place to put this that everybody would be happy with. And we went out and we located 3 other locations, and we did some preliminary investigations to see what groundwater depths were and those soil types. And we went to a public meeting in February, put the proposals out on the board, got public to actually give us input into what each of the sites looked like. We had 3 of them, and we actually had a vote. And it was unanimous that no one would have a problem with it right where we finally did pick the spot in the southwest corner of Soda Lake. So we actually put it up for a vote of the folks that were at this public meeting. And we all walked away, and I made the decision right then. I hadn't talked to Chicago. I just said, okay, if that's what the community wants, we'll put it in the southwest corner of Soda Lake, and it was done.
The commitment of all parties to an open process had prevented a difficult issue from derailing the entire process. 5 miles from the downtown portion of the site, Soda Lake lies at the heart of a 2,200-acre parcel of land, crucial to the success of the cleanup. A natural prairie pond, portions of Soda Lake had been used as a settling pond for contaminated water pumped from the site. Yet, over the years, a thriving natural ecosystem had grown up around its shores.
I've been interested in Soda Lake for 40 years, I guess, ever since it started. It was created in 1957 or thereabouts. And it serendipitously turned into an incredible refuge for waterfowl and aquatic birds, shorebirds and ducks and geese and swans, all the birds that depend on water, their habitats. And it's turned out to be one of the main aquatic habitats in eastern Wyoming.
At issue were the heavily contaminated sludges and sediments beneath the inlet basin. Many felt the best solution was to excavate all the contaminated material and place it in the nearby CAMU.
I think the solutions that we reached for cleanup at Soda Lake were acceptable both in terms of protecting the environment as well as the cleanup. We got the worst stuff out of the environment, the stuff that was in the inlet basin, and based on fairly detailed, extensive studies of the main lake, we concluded that there was no risk associated with the contaminants in the main lake.
Eventually, Soda Lake may become an even better refuge for birds and other wildlife on the arid Wyoming prairie. Every community and every remediation is unique. There is no one set of guidelines that will provide the answer to every question that arises. The answer to why Casper was able to achieve a difficult environmental cleanup where other communities have struggled is ultimately to be found in a relatively few simple lessons. Establish a set of ground rules. The success of any collaboration between groups not naturally inclined to agree depends on individuals learning to trust each other. A code of conduct that everyone agrees on is essential. Decisions should be based on scientific facts, not preconceived notions or opinions. The public should be kept informed of the entire process at all times. Maintain trust by making all decisions within the group. Commit the appropriate resources. Maintain momentum by utilizing a facilitator. Community leaders with their working knowledge of local issues should always play a role. But don't overlook the valuable input that citizen groups and individuals can provide as well. Because of the technical nature of most cleanups, unbiased consultants and scientific experts create confidence in the process. Anything you can do to enhance organizational clarity, such as dedicating certain meetings just for joint planning or hiring someone for scheduling, will help reduce frustration and speed the process. Acknowledge the legitimate needs and constraints of all parties. BP needed a plan with a clear-cut goal that would allow it to complete its responsibilities at the site without endless expenditures. The regulators needed one that fulfilled all the legal requirements to protect the people of Wyoming. And the people of Casper needed the plan to be one that they had played a part in making, that addressed their concerns about safety, while helping create a more beautiful and vibrant community. Keep the process open. All sides should avoid closed meetings and other practices that could foster mistrust. Make sure everyone understands the issues by translating technical terms for laypeople. Encourage participants to stick with the process over the long run so the group doesn't have to constantly bring new people up to speed. Link cleanup to reuse. In Casper's case, a vision for reuse of the property, backed by the community and linked to appropriate levels of cleanup, was a key to the plan's success. When complete, the site will enhance all aspects of Casper's social and economic life, adding waterfront recreation, hiking trails, business and industrial parks, a golf course, and a wildlife refuge. Each area has received an appropriate level of remediation for its intended use and will continue to be monitored to ensure safety. For the people of Casper, Wyoming, the hard work of learning to cooperate has proven to be the easiest way out in the end. The collaborative process allowed industry, the regulatory agencies, and the community at large to find common ground on a polluted site. Together, they turned a very large liability into a vision of success.